Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. In a Father's Day fashion. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye. Orale, as you can tell by that thumbnail right there, yes indeedy. Oh, you on Paru. You didn't know, huh? You didn't know? Let me tell you something about the Gunner, man. AKA the Skinner, right? 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, so on and so forth, right? In the Menudo style in direct fashion, I was getting it in the California Youth Authority. I was in CYA, right? Now, a lot of you guys that have been tuned in and turned up for a long time, you guys know my stories. That's getting it. You know how I got down, right? The issue isn't was I there. The issue wasn't was I handling my business. The issue was who was there with me, right? So in the Menudo style, we're going to talk about one individual who's very well known. So I didn't even know this fucking Baboso was going to be as well known as he is. On Paru, this motherfucker got well known, right? To what degree of well known? The highest degree. We all know he's got the tapes. He likes to argue. He likes to fucking fraternize. He likes to fight. He likes to call people rats. He might be one. At the end of the day, who gives a fuck? But we're going to talk about one, Wack 100, right? Wack 100, Cash Jones. That's how I knew him, right? And who he was while incarcerated in CYA. And to what degree of gangster on Paru he really was. He was a gangster, right? I'm going to keep it honest. I'm going to be real. Okay, so I was there with him. In 1992, I pulled up to Fred C. Nellis. Now, I had went from NRCC, which was the Northern California Reception in Sacramento, right there on Ramona Drive. For those of you that remember, you remember, right? We was right there, dorm one living. Bam, I dip out. I'm fucking like, what? Right? They're going to shoot me down south. It's not a good look, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. It's not the Northern California Youth Authority. It's the California Youth Authority, right? So Governor Pete Wilson felt that if, for no other reason, he should shoot the Norteños down south. Previously and prior to that, they had already been shipping Norteños to Paso Robles, and that shit wasn't working out for them, right? There was a lot of fucking melees. A lot of things were going on. The Southsiders were trying to jump fences, dig holes, tunnels. Motherfuckers was trying to get to each other, right? And at the same time, the Norteños that were established there were handling their business. That's what's supposed to happen. But the administration was scared, very scary, right? So they were keeping them segregated. Norteños were programming at night, man. Real talk. They were going to church. They were going to school at night. So they kept these vatos at a distance. But they had an idea. They formulated a plot and a plan. It was called ragdoll shit, right? They decided that if for no other reason, they should ship Norteños further down south to Whittier on Whittier Boulevard. Go figure that, right? We weren't going to go cruising, but we better cruise, right? So they shipped us to Nellis. So prior to me getting there, a busload had already pulled up with the homeboys like Conejo from Hayward, Joey Boy and K9 de Fresno, Cisco de San Fran, Limon de Hollister, and several other individuals. Monkey, the fucking West Side Mob out of Sanjo. Who else was there? Fucking Shorte de fucking Fresno. A lot of Fresno boys, right? A lot of perro, right? This is when Bulldogs were still considered Norteños. We didn't even consider them Bulldogs. We just considered them homeboys from Fresno, right? So the pull-up was real. So I remember us pulling up. There was 10 of us that pulled up. And I can go into a list, a whole bunch of names, but says, okay, right now I'm out of breath and I don't give a fuck. It's Father's Day. Let me enjoy my day, right? Let me relax and do something. You know, I got Arby's going on later. So anyways, we pull up, and it is what it is. You know, I've told the story, man. We got off that night. Everybody got off. Next day, the gun caught a motherfucker from Lampara slipping, and it was what it was. I slipped the clip and it got to spin. Boom. Next thing you know, I'm in the caja. Okay, so getting out of the hole, I wasn't really aware of who our enemy. I knew who our enemigas were, right? Of course, any vato from the south that wanted that funk and wanted that smoke. And oh, believe me, they did. There wasn't no suckers, right? But I didn't know if the Africano brothers, man, were gonna rock with us, rock against us. So it went on a name to name and a fucking no to no basis, right? Sometimes motherfuckers was cool. Sometimes I feel like a nut. Sometimes I don't, right? So anyways, time passes. And you got to understand there's a lot of different compas. Compas meaning buildings. So you could be on one building and not really have no interaction other than the school area, church, shit like that with other buildings. Maybe in the chow hall, you might catch a vato slipping and they might catch you slipping and it was on and cracking. But everyone always talked that high power shit. Oh, when we see the Norteños, it's on. Or when we see these vatos, it's on. And vice versa. Beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Who cares? And a Menudo style, get off where you were fucking mad at. That was what it was. This was the California Youth Authority. This was the 90s. This was gang banging. This was I don't give a fuck era, right? This was real shit. So I remember it was constant battle, constant guerra. That we were at war. We were at war with each other. And every time we went to the school area, it seemed like motherfuckers was coming up shouting. Now I'm going to keep it real. We got off. We got off several times. But it didn't matter how many times the Norteños got. There was only 20 of us. What you expect us to do? There was 1,000 Southsiders. I ain't no cap, Holmes. I'm not putting no tapatio on it. There was a lot of vatos, right? And they all had a plan. They all had a plot. They all had a fucking vision. That's it, what they wanted to do. Okay, what I didn't know and what I knew now, you know, after fucking going back and analyzing the shit, and then, of course, I'm going to tell you some stories, was that some of the Africano brothers was going to rock with us, man. That was their plan from the beginning because they were already at guerra with the Southsiders. Prior to the Norteños get there, who do you think it was fighting? Y'all, the wind's blowing. It was usually the Africano brothers versus the Southsiders. Why? Because there was always some type of friction and animosity there along racial lines, along whatever the case it may be. Vatos just didn't like each other. That's Southern politics. Us coming from the North, we didn't care about none of that shit. All we cared about was living. You know what I mean? Trying to survive. So I remember going to the school area all the time, and vatos were always fucking hitting me from the side, snaking on me. I would get off because I'd get tired of it. It just became a redundant thing. It was over and over and over again. It was fights every day. If you made it through the school area one day, you're like, fucking, it went down, I tell you. You were all happy because you actually made it one day unscathed, one day unscraped, one day without fucking sangre, right? Now, a lot of the Africano brothers that were Crips actually had our back. That's a fact, okay? Not all of them. There were some vatos that were like, on Rich rolling. They were doing their thing. They were rolling over there. But there were some vatos, and I give a lot of respect to a lot of the cats from A-Trade Gangsta Crip, man, backed our play on numerous occasions. You know, them vatos out of PJ Watts, man, I got love for the motherfuckers from PJ Watts, right? They was doing their thing, right? Project Watts, stand up. And then, of course, a lot of the Hoovers showed us love. And of course, any Northern Crip that came in there, man, was off their CXIV shit. We're talking about 44 G's townhomes, Merced Gangsta Crips, Tulare County Crips, and whatever the other case may be, these vatos rocked with us and showed us love. I fucking appreciate that. Get down. That's it. Get down. There was one in particular, man, that had my back to the fullest. He was a motherfucking fool. Anyone that remembers him, his name was Devil Dog or D-Dog, man. I think he was from 9-4 Hoover. Okay, it could be 7-4 Hoover. Either way, that motherfucker was Hoover grooving, right? He was putting his work in that fashion. Oh, 50-50. The Hoover was real, right? Don't get it fucked up, C-Mac, because he'll fuck you up. He's different, right? This vato was a CXIV to the fullest, and he was known to make motherfuckers suffer, right? Acknowledge me. He was on his acknowledge shit. He was in that motherfucker handling it. I remember the first day of him coming into the compa, he came right up to the Norteños. He said, I rock with you. And then took flight on some Southside. I said, damn, I guess he does, eh? Right? To what degree of what? That type of degree. The fool was down, right? Anyway, so we had a loose alliance with the Africanos there. I wouldn't say necessarily everybody chose to back our play and vice versa. But there were those, man, that were like, you know, fuck this. I have some type of animosity for the vatos from the South. I come from a different fucking institution where it's rocking and rolling with them. We got your guys' back. We're like, we appreciate it, homes. We got yours too. You know, hey, a motherfucking friend, friend is the enemy of our enemy is a friend. You know what I mean? Straight up. We're going to embrace that and utilize that and rock with that. Fuck you. What do you expect us to do? I said, we were young kids, homes, in no man's land. Orale. And the dog wasn't going to be belly up. No doubt about that, man. We weren't going out like that. At least for the majority of us weren't. There were some that going on bitchy toilet bowl, hugging, hiding. You know, you should. They went out like that. Or the Joker of San Leandro, you went out like that. Anyways, no cap on San Leandro. Respects to David Street locals and all that, homes. But that vato was a leva. So, on we go. How do I run into Wack 100 and how he was and why? Well, I didn't know him as Wack 100. Back then, he didn't even have $100 to his name. His name was Cash Jones. He was a big old Africano brother, right? I remember even back then, he stood out amongst the rest. It was probably him, H-Bone from Hoover, who was a big boy too, and Monster from Shotgun Crip. These were probably S-Bone from what do you call it? Was he from Skyline? Or was he from, I don't know where the fucking Sangre was from, but on Paru, he was a big old brother, right? That was a big old motherfucker, right? Anyways, these Africanos were the biggest ones, and people really didn't want that smoke with them. You know, I'm going to keep it real. In prison's different. When you're a youngster and there's a big old motherfucker full, automatically people are intimidated by him. It wasn't because he was an Africano. It wasn't because he was a brother, because there were some big-ass Southsiders too, and some big Norteños, right? It was more so because the vato was just a big boy, man, and people were like, fuck that, eh? You know what I mean? If he hits you, gonna beat you. Mike Tyson knockout, right? Let's get up, down, left, right, A, B. Charlie, that's Contra. You know what I'm saying? The secret code. So I remember he was on a different compa. If I'm sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was on Adams. Con un pinche levas, right? He was on Adams, and I, at that time, was on Kennedy. So I remember going to the school area, and I would see Cash Jones, right? But he was a sangre. We didn't really have too much communication with the sangres. I'm going to be honest with you, man. It was mostly the Crips that back the Norteños play. The sangres did, to some point and to some degree, show us some love sometimes, but they were kind of doing their own thing. They were up short and that shit creek with that half a paddle too. It was on that row your bullshit. They were just barely trying to get by. But this Vato had a lot of respect. I'm not going to take nothing from Wack 100 here, other than he's an ugly son of a bitch, right? But I'm not going to take nothing from him. I'm going to keep it as real as I can when I say the Vato had his little respect. You know, how he gained it. You know, was he fucking fighting and beating a lot of people up? Prior to me getting there, I never seen it. Now, I heard fucking stories on the compa. He was handling his business. People, like I said, he was a big boy. People were scared to see him. You know, and that's a fact. But that happened on every compa. There was just some guys that they just got to chill. What they kick off your shoes and relax your feet. Party on down to the beat, that's beat. Just kick on Paru. He was just kicking it. But I'm sure he got involved in a few things. You know, you don't just go into YA and just skate on by, Holmes. You're not Nancy Kerrigan. Tanya Harding will beat you down, bitch. This is just the way it is. So, Trip. Motherfuckers don't even know who that is, right? That just flew over their head. Spencer and Latira. I'm intelligent sometimes. So anyways, in a Menudo style, he was doing his thing on his compa. I was doing mine. But this is where our paths crossed. This is where I became aware of who he was. Not necessarily Wack 100, but Cash Jones himself. There was a fucking a sangre. You know, he was a Pyru. His name was Sheik from Pomona. A righteous motherfucking dude. Or was he from Pacoima? I think he was from Pacoima, Pyru. Spencer. He was from Pacoima, Pyru. His name was Sheik. Righteous as they come, little swole, solid, dark brother, right? Ugly than a motherfucker, but with them hands. I watched him several times put people on their back. I watched him put Crips on their back, Bloods on their back, Southsiders on the back. White boys, you guys stayed on your back. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Sprinkle them in. Nellis was not your spot. You know what I mean? The few skinheads and few righteous woods that were there handled their business, but even then came up short, right? It was ugly for white people. I'm just being honest, right? Totally honest. I'm not trying to cap. So anyways, in a Menudo style, Sheik, me and Sheik had a couple classes together. He used to always tell me, hey, brother, man, if anybody trips on you, Skins, I got your back, right? Don't trip. And I said, yeah, I heard that before. I said to my motherfucking eyeballs over here, and you got my back. You're going to run back over that way and go run around the corner like you didn't see it. Now, he was like, nah. But I knew him to be a real one. Everybody that knew Sheik knew he was about his business. He was down, right? So he always walked around with Cash Jones. Wack 100. That was his boy, the same. I think they were from the same spot, same hood. You know what I mean? What is it? 2 P's with a B? You know what I mean? They was just with the business, or he was with the business. So I automatically assumed his homeboy was with the business. Wack was taller, swoller. People didn't fuck with them. They pretty much had free will, were able to do what they wanted to do. So I was scared, and that's what they did, right? So I remember there was a bit. And I've told this story before, but I just want to reiterate because fuck it, it's Father's Day, I say. And here's a quick little spill. There was a bend. Now, anyone that was ever in Fred C. Nellis, this was the most treacherous, dangerous place on earth to us. Because, Norteños I'm talking about, because it was a bend and it was bliñas. And it was a long bend that you had to walk around, man. And there was no placas back there. For some reason, they decided, they had a bright idea that they were going to fucking kick it back there and fucking monitor the fucking inmates or the wards that were walking. They were going to be in the front, that's gay, where nothing was going to crack, right? But in the back, oh, it was always cracking. Vato's head, you know what I mean? Vato's fuck. People were getting fucked up back there. So if you were in Norteño, you dreaded going back there because, you were going to be in a crowd. You have to understand, everyone was pushing in a crowd walking. You had to go with the flow of of traffic. And it'd be nothing but Southsiders around you in close proximity. Keep your distance, that's it, Charlie. There was no distance. It was on you. And this was the spot that they always chose to snake on you, get off on you, stomp you out. A little choke action never hurt nobody, especially not them. And then we'd get off too, but we were smart. As soon as we hit that bend corner in the blinas, we'd get off. Because if you got deeper into the bend, it was like getting sucked into the wormhole. You know what I mean? And it was over. It was going to be over. I've got hit with 2x4s back there. So Simon, they were doing construction. Vatos had 2x4. Vato from Playboys fucked my shit up. I got snaked on. I got battery packed. I got scraped a couple times. Things happen. So did I handle my business? Well, those are fucking questions you don't ask, right? Allegedly. But let's just say I got my issue too. So it was like, we was batting 50-50. Put it like that. You know what I mean? I'm not talking yardas. So anyways, I know that I have a new class that's back there. So I'm dreading it. Like, fuck. I tell the homeboys on the compa. hey, bro, I'm going to have to go hitting the band. They're like, damn, you want us to go with you? But I ain't no soca, homes. I ain't no levar, no punk. So I'm like, yeah, I do, hey, but you know what I mean? But I'm going to do this on my own. Just like them with Shadow from Richmond, man. Respects was doing it on his own. It wasn't about fucking being scared or having butterflies. Everybody would be like, fuck, this is dangerous. But at the same time, you had to do what you had to do. You had to be a man. You had to be more man than them. That's just what it was. Clever. You had to be more man than them. And he was a little kid, right? So I'm a little skinny, pimply face, ugly motherfucker, right? But with a big old pedazo, right? I'm walking. And first day I get jumped. I seen it coming. Vato from Rancho San Pedro was like, hey, Holmes, where you from? I was like, Norte. Vato caught me from the back, right? Double up, orale, you know what I mean? And that was it. So the next day I'm like, fuck that, I'm taking me a big old shark thing with me, right? I'm gonna scrape anybody who even looks like a Southsider is getting scraped. I'm gonna start scraping them as soon as I get in the square. I had a plan, right? And I remember I'm going to walk, and all of a sudden Sheik's beside me and Wack 100's beside me. Yes, Cash Jones. And they're like, don't trip, blood, we got you. Ain't no one gonna touch you, right? And the Southsiders were looking. There was a whole group of them waiting around the corner. They were like, we're gonna get this buster, right? I'm like, two Africanos, big ass boys, and it's going down. I thought I would die for. I thought it was Princess with bodyguards. I was walking that motherfucker like, how can you just leave me standing? You know, I was mobbing. I felt real, and I was me mugging everyone too. Yeah, what? You see the big old brothers with me? You know what I mean? They took a step back. They was like, They had to refigure some shit out, right? Because all of a sudden they see two big brothers. So Wack 100 and she used to tell me, and this is a fact. Wack, you know it, you son of a you ugly motherfucker, you. On pow, it's a fact. They used to wait for me and they used to tell me, hey, just meet us right here, because they had the same classes. They didn't have the same class I did. They had a class right next to me, right? But it was the same area. So they could walk me all the way to the class. Man, I'm going to keep it real, man. Motherfuckers had my back. You know what I mean? Where they did we not get into? Oh, yeah, we did our thing. And I'm going to tell you right now. But they had my back, and I fucking appreciate that. But fuck Wack 100 now. Straight up. You know what I mean? We was kids. Just we did what we had to do. You motherfucker, you remember when that Southsiders was on you? I was backing you shit up too. Anyway, so that's why he's so mad. I'm going to tell you a story about when he got scraped. Anyway, so we're walking, right? Every day they're like, we got your back, so we're walking. First couple of days, Southsiders is like, nah, fuck that. We don't want that smoke. Next couple of days, they get off, right? They're like, fuck it. That's it. Fuck these vatos, right? They get off, and we're just doing our thing. Boom, 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 boom. There's three of us. I remember the homeboy, bad boy from soccer that came running, jumped in the mix. We were handling our business, okay? To what degree of business? The fucking only degree that we could handle, right? Handling. And I remember Sheik was knocking him, and Cash was knocking him too. Well, about 3 days later, man, we go back to square. It was the weekend, right? So it was a Monday. So I get with them right in first period. I see them right there, like just mobbing. And we had third period was behind the bin. So I had the first period was math. Second period was some reading class. I didn't read shit. That's it. You know, I wasn't there trying to sharpen shit. You know, because I knew Ben was coming. I meet with them right there in the quad areas with quad area, right? And they're like, hey, we're going to get off first, man. We're tired of these motherfuckers, bro. They're like, we got you. And I remember Wack was like, I'm going to get off first. I was like, okay, I'm going to see what this motherfucker's about, right? I already knew, man. He was backing my play. He was a big old brother, man. He was knocking fools out. That's a fact. I won't sit here and lie. He was dropping motherfuckers, right? Was he dropping 32 of them like Big U? Nah, fuck no, right? So let me tell you, 10 Southsiders was on his neck piece. They was applying pressure. I said, on power. They was applying pressure. I got the tapes, right? So I remember that day, Sheik was like, hey, we're going to get off. We walked right around the bend. There's like a library in the middle and like a barbershop or something. But as we hit that corner, that motherfucker Wack came through like, oh, you can, boom. And he caught some Southsiders slipping. That motherfucker was like, no, yes, no, boom. That was it, bro. And I seen South, they looked like roaches. They spilled out like an anthill. Orale. All I seen was LA, San Diego's, and Suds everywhere. They was on Wack. He was like, help me, blood. On power. I ain't lying either. I swear to isn't she lovely? That's what I was thinking in my head. He was getting choked out. No, bro. That fool was getting fucked up that day, man. But it happens, man. I ain't gonna sit here and say that I didn't get smashed on a few times, man, or I didn't smash a few mines. I just choke them out. That's it. And I was a skinny little kid. I'd be on their back like, on the horse, right? Doing my thing. But that day he came up short. I think that's why he's mad at the Southsiders, bro. That's why he has some animosity. You know what I mean? He got fucked up that day. Keep it real, Wack. You remember. You remember, Holmes. Hey. Oh, Paru. You know what I mean? I can't. I just can't. You know what I mean? Acknowledge me. They acknowledged him and fucked him up. Okay? But that was the one time that I seen him get scraped. Other than that, man, we handled our business. So, as far as what I heard about Wack 100 on the Scumpa, I heard he was a righteous dude, was a real dude, was about his money, man. He was making business moves in there, doing his little thing. I can't speak on exactly what he had going on, but he had something going on, and he was winning. Now, as far as did he back my play? Absolutely. Should I be indebted to him for life? No, right? I respect it. But I don't respect him as a man that he grew up to be because he knows better. He knew better, man. It wasn't a black and brown thing in there, man. It was a gang thing, man. But he's chosen to be divisive. I know some people are going to be like, hey, man, he shows a lot of love to the Mexicans and a lot of love. I don't give a fuck, bro. Just because they're from down south and motherfuckers from up north, there is no difference. We're all brown at the end of the day, man. Got love for the brothers. Like I said, I ain't never going to hate, man. My boy Sheik, what it do, man? Wack 100. All right, but I give you a little pride. But you remember that day. Oh, anyways, man, just a funny story on Father's Day. Hey, even to Wack 100, happy Father's Day, brother. You know what I mean? It is what it is. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. If you want to fact check it, bitch, fact check it. I ain't tripping, you know what I mean? When it all comes back legit, like all my stories do, how you gonna feel? On Paru, you gonna feel stupid, right? With that being said, man, if you like this, please hit that like and subscribe. If not, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy as the head that wears the crown. I continue to tell these real stories because that shit really happened. You know what I mean? I can't hate on Wack, man, but he's a dummy. You can learn a lot from a dummy. Bang, bang, the gun.